And I've made this point before, and I had some steroid freak on the internet tell me that no, that's very reasonable.
What's up guys, Derek, moreplates.com. Today we are going to be reacting to the Jon Jones heavyweight experiment by Chael Sonnen. So apparently I might have been brought up in this. There's at least a decent amount of comments implying that this is a reference to me. And when I go through the comment sections, I see was probably Derek, More Plates, More Dates. Looking forward to Coach Greg and Derek Plates for Dates take on this. Chael finally mentioned them. Let's see. Steroid Freak, talking about more plates, more dates. MPMD versus the undefeated incoming. Okay, so I'm going to be reacting to this, and we will see exactly what he says here.
Jon Jones put an Instagram post out. He was doing some squats. 400 pounds, 500 pounds. I don't know what it was. A ton of weight. A ton of weight.
If you don't recall, by the way, or if you haven't seen it, I did a video a while back kind of reacting to Chael's first description of Jon Jones' weight gain and how much of it was comprised of actual contractile tissue relative to just random fluff, essentially. And in that video, we touched on PEDs, we touched on body composition outcomes and whatnot, and there was some interesting, comments going back and forth on that one. So this is sort of a follow-up to that.
And I am very curious, and I'm very into the experiment that is Jon Jones that's going on, right? And that experiment, real simple. Not can he go out and compete skill-wise with heavyweights. That's not what this is. He's attempting to transform his body because he believes if he's going to be at heavyweight, he needs to weigh what a heavyweight weighs. And Jon even set a goal that at some point he put out, and I remember hearing, of 240 pounds. Jon Jones at 240 pounds, I mean, that is going to be interesting. Flat scary, right? Flat scary is what Jon Jones is now. Now you're telling me he's going to put on 15 pounds of steel?
So this is where the misconception lies, I believe, because he always refers to weight as steel for some reason. Like, there's obviously, when you say steel, you're implying pure contractile tissue. You're not implying lean body mass increases. You're not implying, a bit of fat, bit of water, bit of actual tissue.
And he's going to be taking on guys who theoretically are slower than he is. It's very interesting. However, it's not as simple. I have to use the word theoretically. I have to use that because it is an experiment and we don't know. When you change your physiology, things happen that you won't consider. I can go back to personalize it, but to my childhood. And you guys remember this when you're a kid. You have summer break, but you have to get all new school clothes. You don't get those clothes just because it's a new year of you grew in summer break. Those clothes don't fit. Your pants now, they're too short. You're coming out of the shirts. The shoes don't fit. Your body grows. 2 and 3 inches. You could put on 10, 12, 15 pounds. And I remember I would wrestle every day. But every day we got 7 weeks a year off. 7 weeks off. First week of July was our last practice, and we had all the way until September 2nd. 7 weeks. And I can remember going into practice on those first days. It was like I had never done it before. To bend your knees and get in a stance and move your feet and try to attack an opponent or defend yourself from attacks from an opponent. When you've gained 12 pounds or when you've grown 3 inches, it was starting over from step one. Balance, coordinate, all these things were off. And you got it back, it comes back quickly.
Yeah, so obviously I can't relate directly to the MMA example, but even when I first started working out, gaining large amounts of weight very quickly, in basketball, your mechanics would get thrown the fuck off. You'd have a perfectly, mind-muscle connection, in-sync three-pointer that you've had that stroke developed for like years at this point, and it's like literally ingrained in your head. And then you add a little bit of strength to the arms, you add a little bit of size to the delts, you add a little bit of whatever to everywhere, and it gets thrown off. Your mechanics, your exact, motor unit recruitment patterns. Like everything is altered and you have to kind of like relearn as you go. So obviously not a directly relevant example, but any sport, you have to like relearn your body to some extent as you gain significant amounts of weight.
2, 3, 4 weeks, it's a distant memory, but it happens. It's my only frame of reference. But now John's about to go through that. And I'm very curious, is that going to help him? Is he approaching this right? I think that he is. I see it the way John sees it. If you're going to go into heavyweight and the limit is 265, and you're going to be the smallest heavyweight to have fought for a championship since Randy Couture did it in 2007, yeah, it would seem as though doing some powerlifting, getting some size makes sense. I would have never even considered that he was looking at it wrong, ever. Until Israel Adesanya came out and said he's not going to do it. Talking about himself. Adesanya moving up to 205 pounds, he said, I'm not going to put on one single pound. This is not about me getting bigger to fight these guys. It's about me being smaller than the guys that I'm fighting. That is what the story is. I am coming up in weight. I'm not going to change myself. I don't want to have to reset and recalibrate my timing and my speed and my offenses and my defenses because I put on size.
See, that makes a lot of sense to me. If you're a very, very accurate, counter striker or striker in general, and you're taking your literal bread and butter and throwing a wrench into it just so you can have an extra, 10 pounds of weight on you to throw around, what's the risk to reward on that?
Which in theory could make you slower, and it could, tired faster rather, and it could make you physically a little bit slower. But I had never considered it. Have you guys, did you ever consider that?
I'm talking about in regards to Adesanya, by the way.
I think we would all default to the rationale that John had. I got some size I'm giving up. I got some time. I'm going to spend it filling that gap. Made sense until Adesanya said no. Now, we're going to have to juxtapose these two, right? We're not going to have the answer to this just when Adesanya gets done and just the result of Adesanya's match with Blachowicz, or after John's competition and the result. This is going to be very performance-based. It's going to be a very interesting study. Two guys changing weight classes, one guy trying to put on size, one guy changing weight classes and purposely not trying to put on size.
Dude, the pauses between sentences. Like, I don't know if he's like trying to push the video to 10 minutes, but goddamn.
I don't know what the right answer is, but I am very curious. Seeing Jon Jones at 240 pounds, it's an interesting thing. It's very difficult, if not almost impossible, at his age, John's age, to put on 15 pounds in 6 months and to do it of all muscle. And I've made this point before, and I had some steroid freak on the internet tell me that no, that's very reasonable. No, it is not. And the steroid freak doesn't know anybody who's done it.
Okay, so if this is referring to me, first of all, how are we defining steroid freak here? Is it TRT? Like, isn't Chael is he not on TRT right now? Like, I would speculate that he probably used more in the past however many years than I fucking have. TRT is, I don't think qualifies you as a freak unless you, define somebody who understands pharmacology or talks about it as a fucking freak, but okay. Is it possible to gain 15 pounds of contractile tissue in 6 months? For a guy who is not a newbie to training and is a veteran of the gym and sports in general, like, do I need to answer that question?
He's read about people doing it. He's been told this as folklore, but he wasn't smart enough to know that they were sticking a needle in their ass. Yes, I know plenty of people that...
Okay, I don't know if he's talking about me at this point because it's like, this is like the opposite of what I would be saying.
Put on 15 pounds of muscle in 6 months by using anabolics. That's not what we're talking about. And it's the muscle specifically is what I bring to you. To put on muscle, like if you talk to bodybuilders and you know about that, you can't put on muscle without putting on fat. That is where they'll do those bulking, they'll eat so many calories, they'll look disgusting, but then they'll take the fat off and what's left is the muscle. We're talking pure muscle. So it's a very interesting experiment. And if you've ever tried to lose weight, you know how hard that is. But I'll tell you one just as hard is trying to gain weight. When you are trying to put down protein and put down calories and lift heavy weights, it's just a slow build. It's extremely hard. You're uncomfortable most of the time because you're so full. And it's a very challenging thing to put on lean mass.
Yeah, so especially in this sport in particular, where your energy expenditure is significant, the type of exercise you are performing is like the total opposite to what is conducive to packing on size. So trying to eat enough and also engage in hypertrophy, conducive exercise is quite difficult when you're literally at the same time going to the ring and practicing something that does the complete opposite and strips lean tissue off your frame. So, for somebody to expect, is it realistic to do 15 pounds of actual muscle, not just like lean body mass? We're not just talking about some intracellular hydration. We're not talking about a little bit of, fat here, but you can get away with it because you're so damn big and tall that it's distributed in a way that doesn't look significantly different and you don't look like you've got that much fatter and your abs are just as, separated or whatever. Is he going to pack on 15 pounds of muscle in 6 months? No. And even if he was on a shit ton of gear, that would be unlikely too, especially at where he's at and given his, history, to be honest. So, like the amount of shit you need to use to pack on 15 pounds of lean actual muscle tissue, not, the fluff weight, not the bullshit, actual muscle tissue in 6 months. There's no way you would be able to get away with that much gear with USADA in the picture.
But I could also point to you to 7 or 8 or 9 other very hard things to do in life that Jon Jones did.
Fair. He is a genetic hyper elite. That is accepted, but still, there's a reason why his body composition is relatively plateaued. It's not like it's significantly changed in the past, significant duration of time. I don't think he has packed on a significant amount of muscle mass to the point where you could even claim this is definitely in the even double digits of lean tissue accrual.
Rules don't apply to him. He has a different belief system. He has a different level of success. He has a different level of expectation.
That's fine, but you can only do so fucking much. Once you've been exercising, weight training, doing what you're doing for years and years and years, can you just snap your fingers and be like, we're putting on 15 pounds of fucking muscle in 6 months? It's not that easy. And it's not just not that easy. It's essentially impossible. And I get that he's saying this guy is the guy who could do the impossible, but no, dude, like you are literally a plateaued veteran. Like it's your first time trying to jump weight. I get it, but it's not like you've been severely restricting yourself for years to the point where you could just explode and rebound and gain a bunch of size you've been holding back on yourself for all this time. That's not how it's going to work.
I'm curious. I'm not sold on it. I would have been sold. I would have been sold on Jon is doing everything right until Adesanya offered the other side.
So yeah, like the conversation is, it's sort of like not even related to what I'm discussing, but at the same time it is, because he's talking about who is going to have a detriment to their own performance or who is going to get more benefit out of the strategy that they're deploying. And then he's sort of like circling back to the whole, is it possible to gain 15 pounds of muscle in this time frame? And then circling back to the performance metrics. And it's who's going to have made the smarter decision? Like, it's not for me to say. I'm not a fucking MMA analyst. I'm just looking at the body composition changes here. And I guess the performance metrics are somewhat relevant to what I'm discussing. But I mean, you can only speculate about that. The muscle, though, in the time frame, we can definitively say it's not going to fucking happen.
I think as this plays out, and we see these smaller guys moving up, I think that we're going to learn a lot. And I think that we need to be open to the idea of changing our mind if we're confronted with new evidence.
Okay, so that is, let's see if there's more comments. Some steroid freak, more plates, more dates has entered the chat. I'm just going to say hello for Derek's reaction video. That's funny. Let's see. Anything else in here? By shooting at such a wide angle, Sonnen is able to fit both of his shoulders in a single single shot. Smart. Okay, so I don't know if it's me that's the steroid freak, or if it's Greg Doucette or what, but yeah, like I would really stand behind the statement that it's extremely unlikely that John is going to pack on that much pure muscle in that time frame. Like, it's fucking, is that going to happen? Like, no, it's just, not. He's not been severely restricting himself for years to the point where all of a sudden he's just going to rebound once he's allowed a certain amount of food. And Chael even said himself, it's very, very difficult to put on weight in general when you're, an MMA athlete. So whose performance is going to get hindered and whose is going to be enhanced by the choices made, not putting on weight for Adesanya versus putting on weight for Jones? I don't know. I guess we shall see. I would think it would sort of play into whose, fighting style is most conducive to that choice. Whereas, Adesanya, traditionally a striker, Jones, historically also stands up quite a bit, but also is a excellent wrestler. Now, who's going to do the best based on their, choices made? I don't fucking know. We shall see. But at the end of the day, the steroid freak thing, the fucking discussion is around the muscle gain. Let me know if you guys think it's realistic to for all that weight to be steel, or if this is just a huge troll to kind of instigate some shit. Because last time it was a bit of an iffy topic, and I think everyone was like generally had the same understanding and the same consensus on the matter, but Chael definitely likes to stir the pot a bit. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. All the comments help the algorithm. They're much appreciated. Like, subscribe, check out my blog, moreplates.com. Follow me on Instagram at moreplates_moredates, Facebook, Snapchat, BitChute, Twitter, TikTok, Apple Podcasts. If you want to support the channel, you can check out anything I'm associated with in the video description below. My TRT clinic, it's all telemedicine from the comfort of your own home, right? My recommended diagnostics in the lab, tests for assessing your health and your endocrine parameters and whatnot via my HRT clinic. Gorilla Mind, nootropic formulas, Gorilla Mode, pre-workout formulas, and design myself from scratch, and anything else I'm associated with. It's all in the video description below. Thank you guys for watching. Talk to you soon.